Josef Fritzl is an Austrian man who imprisoned and sexually abused his daughter, Elisabeth Fritzl, for 24 years, resulting in the birth of 7 children. The Josef Fritzl case came to light in April 2008, when an Austrian woman named Elisabeth Fritzl escaped from the basement dungeon where she had been held captive for 24 years by her own father, Josef Fritzl. This shocking case of imprisonment, sexual abuse, and incestuous rape horrified the world and exposed the depths of human depravity. Josef Fritzl, a retired engineer, had built a concealed basement dungeon beneath his family home in Amstetten, Austria, in the late 1970s. This secret dungeon was equipped with a bed, a small kitchen, and rudimentary sanitation facilities. The dungeon had multiple locked doors and was soundproofed to ensure that no one could hear what was happening inside. In August 1984, when Elisabeth Fritzl was just 18 years old, she was lured into the basement by her father, Josef Fritzl, who drugged and handcuffed her before imprisoning her in the dungeon. Josef told his family and the authorities that Elisabeth had run away, leading to a decades-long search for her. Elisabeth Fritzl's life in captivity was marked by unimaginable suffering. She was repeatedly raped and sexually assaulted by her father over the course of 24 years. During this time, she gave birth to 7 children, all of whom were fathered by Josef Fritzl. 3 of these children were raised in captivity with her, never seeing the outside world. To explain the presence of the children, Josef Fritzl told his wife, Rosemary, that Elisabeth had run away and abandoned the children on their doorstep. He forced Elisabeth to write letters in her handwriting to maintain the facade, and he even brought the children upstairs to live with the rest of the family, claiming they were foundlings he was caring for. In April 2008, one of Elisabeth Fritzl's imprisoned children, Kirsten, fell seriously ill and required medical attention. Josef Fritzl reluctantly allowed Elisabeth to write a letter explaining Kirsten's condition and leaving it outside the dungeon. Kirsten was then taken to the hospital, and doctors became suspicious of her condition and the circumstances surrounding her care. Elisabeth seized this opportunity to escape her captor. She convinced Josef Fritzl to bring her to the hospital to see Kirsten, and once there, she informed the medical staff of her true identity and the horrific ordeal she had endured for decades. The police were called immediately, and Josef Fritzl was arrested. The discovery of the underground dungeon and the horrifying details of the case shocked both Austria and the world. Josef Fritzl was charged with multiple counts of rape, incest, false imprisonment, and murder for the death of one of the infant children who did not survive. In March 2009, Josef Fritzl pleaded guilty to the charges against him. He was subsequently sentenced to life in prison for his crimes. The judge who presided over the case described it as one of the most heinous and appalling crimes in Austrian legal history. The Josef Fritzl case left an indelible mark on Austria and the world. It raised questions about the failings of the Austrian authorities in not discovering the dungeon earlier and the psychological trauma endured by Elisabeth Fritzl and her children. It also highlighted the need for better mechanisms to prevent and address cases of abuse and captivity. The surviving victims, Elisabeth and her children, received extensive psychological and medical support as they sought to rebuild their lives.